give you goosebumps.
Oh boy.
You gotta watch it, and I'll try to get it up on social media. But basically, and now with your Miami Heat, my dad, Dwayne Wade, and literally, just tears started curling down his eyes, and they gave him the mic, and he gave the farewell speech. But Dwayne Wade, an incredible career. LeBron James, incredible career. We were talking a little bit earlier about Masters and how a lot of times us as fans, we just don't let our iconic people age. We don't let them get past that point of greatness. We see Dwayne Wade retiring. He realizes it's his time to do something else. He's certainly got a Hall of Famer. He's certainly one of the greats. Played, obviously, with LeBron James. Obviously has a great career. But do we still look – I mean, because for the first time since Reggie Miller was on the court, LeBron James misses the playoffs. And if we see Magic Johnson walk away, everybody thought that LeBron James was the Messiah, the second coming of Jesus Christ with the Lakers was with LeBron James. And Kobe, he has every right to sit back and toot his own horn and pound his chest and says, I'm just as good as LeBron James. What are we seeing there? What's the trend we're seeing there?
Well, listen, the reality of it is, and by the way, I'm one of the maybe few people that thinks, and I get kind of roasted for this all the time. I think Kobe is the best basketball player outside of the big man, like Wilt and those guys and Russell. I think Kobe's the best basketball player that's ever lived. I mean, I think he has the athleticism of Jordan in a shooter's body. Now remember, Jordan was, listen, he was great. I mean, but if you had a little nitpick on his game, he wasn't the greatest three-point shooter. Kobe was. So first off, Kobe, in my opinion, has every reason to think he's better than LeBron because I think he is, no matter who scored more points. But LeBron is an interesting thing. I think Magic overpromised and underdelivered. I think he thought he had Paul George. LeBron
point.
Touche.
I think Paul George thought Magic Johnson had him.
Well, certainly. And I think going back to this thing, if you would have told me Rajon Rondo, Paul George, LeBron James, and maybe JaVale McGee, that's a playoff team, and that's probably a team that can challenge Golden State or Houston, however that shakes out. Or Denver. You can't count out Denver either. But think it was a comedy of errors this season, and LeBron is older. He clearly cannot carry a team on his back by himself. That Cavaliers team last year was a little underrated. They bought into LeBron. This Lakers team did not buy in, clearly. So you get halfway through the season, you realize this is not going well. I'm just going to shut it down and wait till next year, which, is neither here nor there, really. But I fully expect them to acquire some pieces next year, whether it's Anthony Davis, whether it's, ironically, whether it's Kyrie Irving, whoever they get, it will be someone to help and maybe even take some of the load off the back of LeBron James next year. I think they'll be right in the mix, especially when you consider what the landscape of the West could potentially look like next year. It could look very different. With Golden State maybe having to break it up just a little bit to keep things under the salary cap, and it could look very different next year in the West, and I expect that to be the Lakers' benefit, whether they get one of those Golden State guys or whether they're able to get Kawhi Leonard. But it sounds like Leonard might be going to the Clippers. It could be interesting how that all plays out. But LeBron's still really good. He may not be the best player in the NBA anymore, but he's easily in the top 10.
We're talking with Matthew Hicks, good local radio friend of mine. I've been around the local Indianapolis radio for a long time. I know you're kind of doing some other things right now, but hey, still love to have you on and talk some sports with you, and you certainly helped me play the homework card here. I know we're a national show, but hey, we got some national teams that get some national attention. One of those is the Indianapolis Colts, and we were getting ready for the draft coming up here real soon down in Nashville. We watched Ballard. We had a great season with Frank Reich. Andrew Luck is back. if you're Frank Reich, Ballard, Irsay, you're down in Nashville, or Nashville and Indianapolis, they're not necessarily in the same place. You're looking at these players. You're looking at your war board. We've got to, draft this person. I mean, as a fan, we always want to say, hey, we want to insert name here. But if you're Ballard or you're Frank Reich, we want to do what's best for the longevity of the team. And I think what gets the Colts in trouble so many times is we as fans think that they need to draft for a here and now for a Super Bowl this year. And that just doesn't happen historically. You have to draft and you have to build your team from the draft. And as great of a season that we had last year, I still think the Indianapolis Colts are still in a real rebuilding time, and the fans, pardon the expression that the Philadelphia 76ers have made so popular, trust the process, but they absolutely have to do that. But what's the next step in the process to build on what we had last year to build on the future of the Colts coming up in the NFL draft?
Well, it's now, first off, what they have not addressed clearly is the wide receiver situation. They bring in the former, his name's escaping me right now. They bring in the former Carolina Panther. That may work out. To me, that's a roll of the dice. We'll see. They need to address the wide receiver position, whether it be through free agency or the draft. And there's still some free agents out there. So I mean, that's and there'll be more. There's always some late cuts. So that's still something to consider. But, however, they are in this wonderful position because really outside of wide receiver, they just need depth. They need now depth at positions. I mean, you'd like to see the corners. I mean, there's certainly positions that are weaker than others. The safety position seems to be addressed if everybody's healthy. You kind of got four solid guys there with the addition of Kennard from the Browns. So I mean, you look at that. You look at the linebacking core with what they've got now. They're going to be spectacular, I think, as these guys continue to get older and age. But they could probably still use an Urlacher type middle linebacker. Easier said than done, right? They've got the outside guy in Leonard,
much easier said than done.
All-pro. Yeah, right, exactly. But the defensive line is solid. You bring in Justin Houston. I mean. And then you look at the offensive line, potentially the best offensive line in football. I don't think that's an overstatement at this point. It might be the best offensive line in football this year. The running back situation is solid with the addition of a young workhorse, a bruiser, a 3rd and 1 type of guy. That would be a great benefit to them. The tight end position, again, with a healthy Jack Doyle. And by the way, keep your eye on that. That's the one thing that I'm curious on with Jack Doyle. Will he be ready for camp? It doesn't sound like he's going to be. So that's something to keep your eye on, and don't be shocked if they don't draft a tight end and they don't draft one high. That could be possible. They obviously like to run their offense through tight ends. So, but with a healthy Jack Doyle, they're again probably right towards the tops in football at the tight end position. Wide receiver is the issue, I think. If they hang on to Jacoby Brissett, which looks like they're going to, and I have no problem with that. They've got a solid backup quarterback. I mean, now you just need to draft the best. I mean, it sounds stupid and it's cliched, but the best person available is what they need. They need depth. They need to be able to withstand an injury at different positions and keep on rolling because they're going to come. I mean, injuries happen to every team every year. Indianapolis knows that better than anybody in the last few years. But to continue their trajectory, and I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender yet. I agree with you there. But they are a playoff team. There's no question, and they are a team that's going to challenge for this division, and there's no question about that. And to continue that trajectory they're on, they just got to add depth, and I think they're well on their way to that.
Just got to keep chopping wood, right?
Yeah, that's right. They need a couple.
I could not resist.
Rolling balls of butcher knives.
Kyler Murray, does he go to the Arizona Cardinals?
I like Josh Rosen a lot. As of the success you saw from, and I might be completely wrong on this, but of the success you saw from those other young quarterbacks that were taken in the first round, Cleveland and the Jets taking the young quarterbacks last year, I still think Rosen is the best of those. And if they trade him, somebody is getting a franchise quarterback. If it's in the right system, of course. I really like him a lot. But Murray is that, next level type of quarterback that obviously, can do a lot with his feet and with his arm. He's spectacular athlete. And I don't know. If it were my team, no, I would stick with Rosen and add another spot, whether it be the defensive lineman or I'm trying to think who the other top pick is. Oh, Bosa from
Bosa, yeah. Might go to the 49ers. He's the guy who went on Twitter and deleted all his pro-Trump tweets because he thinks he might be going to the 49ers. That's okay that he did that, but two, it's stupid that he feels like he has to do that. But that's a whole other subject for another thing. But yes, Bosa. You're talking about Bosa.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if it were me, I'd take him number one overall. And I think, again, Kyler Murray is going to be great. But the reality of it is those top few teams outside of New York, they don't need a quarterback. So, so we'll see. But I really like Bosa. And Murray's going to be great. I mean, I just, when you talk about a quarterback of his style, the question that always comes up is durability. And obviously he's been hit before. I'm not trying to say he's, never been hit, but it is a little different in the NFL, obviously.
Well, let's just get for just a couple more minutes here. Matthew Hicks has certainly been around local radio here in Indianapolis. Obviously, you follow the AFC South very closely, just like I do. Let's just kind of play a little mock draft, if you will. If the draft were today, I think that the Texans jump in front and do a trade with the Falcons. They'll jump in front of the Panthers in order to land an offensive line centerpiece that they so desperately need in order to protect Deshaun Watson. And I think that would be Andre Dillard from Washington State, offensive lineman. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think they find themselves in this weird position where they almost have to do something like that. They need to swing big. They need to protect Watson. They also need to get the ball out of Watson's hands quicker. That's just a fundamental thing. We saw that with Luck too at the beginning of his career. They just got to do that. It'll be curious though to see, if they can jump up there by trading Clowney or however they decide to do that. What asset do they give up to be able to move up and get that top pick? But you're right; they definitely need to get an offensive lineman, and then they probably need another running back too. In reality, as good as Lamar Miller was last year, I think you need to. Running backs by committee now is kind of the thing. So
it's kind of the trend. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really
the Colts,
very, very few workhorses.
Well, and the Colts certainly, I feel like, did a good job of the running back by committee job. Speaking of the Colts, they're at the number 18 slot, and I think they make a trade with the Vikings to draft me in that wide receiver position. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, Marquis Brown, that's the joke of my last name there. So, although I don't have an E on my last name, so I digress. It was a really bad joke. But Marquis Brown, a wide receiver from Oklahoma. Certainly Indianapolis, if they move up, they need to add some, like you said, some deep and outside speed, giving Andrew Luck one of the most dynamic receiving duos in the league and making this offense even tougher to stop than it already is. It's very important that we address that. You talked about it earlier. It's very important that the Colts address the wide receiver position, and I think Marquis Brown from Oklahoma is that missing link.
Well, he's kind of clearly the best wide receiver in the draft, but there's some guys. I mean, listen, you know as well as I do, they don't like to move up, and the Colts want to just hoard those draft picks. I mean, if they stay where they are at 26, there's a guy, Jerry Tillery. I mean, obviously you watch Notre Dame every week in Indiana, so there's a guy,
sure.
Jerry Tillery.
We know who he is.
Notre Dame
yeah.
defensive lineman. Yeah. I mean, and it's like, what a defensive tackle he can be. I mean, there's guys, there's corners available. Listen, don't rule out. I mean, don't rule out anything. I wouldn't be shocked if they took an offensive lineman with their first-round pick. I mean, you wouldn't think they would, right? But, again, we don't know what the plan is here. So I think you can probably rule out 3 positions in the first round: quarterback, kicker, and punter. Outside of that, I don't think we know, and we've proven this over the years, especially when Bill Polian was here. And Chris Ballard is almost kind of, in some ways, cut from the same cloth. In other